won't stop until the break of dawn. I'm singing.
Hey guys, Mike the Vike here, back for yet another video. This time around we're going to be doing another Battlefield 4 gameplay / commentary, and the topic of this video is going to be pretty random. I mean, I've got some Battlefield 4 tips, some more discussion on how people pick their favorite gun, and some other stuff about Battlefield, because I felt I haven't pushed out enough content in that game. So, I feel like talking about the gun thing first, and it's about how someone picks their favorite gun. And I think, I said this in the last video, I think there's a lot of things that make a gun someone's favorite. It can be anything from the reload animation, to how it looks in general, to how it sounds, to what the magazine makes when you put it in the gun, or whatever it may be. There's a billion different reasons someone might like something. I remember saying a while ago that you shouldn't look at stats, and I was actually thinking about this, and I decided to look up stats on my own, and I realized that, you know what, stats are actually pretty darn useful. However, I wouldn't recommend still looking at stats right away. I would recommend you find your favorite gun, and then just play around the game, find your develop your own opinions. And then after that, then you can look up the stats. I wouldn't just go right out of the gate looking up stats, because I feel like it's, I don't know, it's just, you aren't making your own opinions and stuff, which I don't think is the greatest idea. Other than that, I mean, yeah, in terms of stats, like, you can read about all the different attachments and stuff and how they work. I personally actually haven't read many stats. I read a couple, like I said, right now, but like, I found out most of this stuff just by reading the descriptions of the guns, and I think you could do that for a lot of things. With that said, some guns have some special things on them when you read the stats that you may not have known of. In terms of tips that I can give to you guys, in terms of attachments, actually, I use the stubby grip or potato grip, and I just use the muzzle brake, actually. And the reason I don't like the flash hiders and all that is because they reduce your accuracy on full auto, and I don't agree with that. I think that because I'm one of, like, you know, if I'm in a stressed situation, I'm still gonna just spray and pray, and I don't want to be, like, you know, hindered in that. And so I just use the muzzle brake. It makes it easier to see the targets you're shooting at because there's less muzzle flash, and there's no actual difference other than that, I believe. And the stubby grip or potato grip does the same thing. It just reduces your full auto spread, I believe. So again, that's kind of improving your full auto usage or usability. And I think that's a great combination for almost every gun. It'll improve it. And so basically, in terms of attachments, that's really all I can suggest. I mean, in terms of red dots, I think the Chinese one, the new one, is the best one right now. The Russian one is pretty good too, but in general, I think the widest field of view and, like, meaning like least interference on your screen will be the Chinese one. The Russian one is pretty close, but the American one is much less, you know. And other than that, in terms of, like, the long range scope that I use on guns, I Jesus Christ. I typically stick with the ACOG because it's the best, as far as I can tell, of the mid-range scopes. And yeah, that's basically it. I use Chinese or ACOG in terms of optics. Now, in terms of other tips, in case you guys want some, the first one that I have is actually just to lower your settings. And you might be like, well, the game won't look as good, but the huge advantage you get, of course, is the increase in FPS, and there's a massive, there's a big advantage, obviously, for having higher FPS and having higher refresh rate monitors. That's why they're available. So, if you feel that you're doing badly, maybe it's because of your frames per second. That might be a part of it, anyways. So, maybe, you know, maybe perhaps even just upgrade your computer, get some more RAM in there, throw a new graphics card probably, just to increase your performance, because maybe it's your rig and you just don't realize it. Check how many frames per second you're getting. If you're not getting like 60 frames per second, you're definitely at a disadvantage. 60 and up is optimal, I'd say, for any FPS game. That's why something like Call of Duty runs at 60 on consoles. Although I'm not sure about Ghosts, actually. It's kind of weird. Someone was saying he was running at 30. I was like, no way, because it's COD. But anyway, in terms of Battlefield 4 tips, I have another one. Spam the spot button, is because there's a lot of stuff going on in this game in terms of visual, you know, things to confuse you, and you know, mist and smoke and all that. And a really easy way to just kind of like wall hack the whole thing is just spam Q, because you easily then get a little red dot of where the guy is, and it just helps you out a lot. So I just stick with Q. I don't think it's like, I could configure it to my mouse. I think I might actually do that if I play it again, if I turn on Battlefield 4, because yeah, just spam it all the time whenever you can. Just press the Q or whatever button on your mouse, because it'll help a lot. You'll know where your targets are and you can shoot them. Just guess shooting, and most of the time you'll just get hit markers. You might even kill the guy. Really useful. Another one is don't sprint into a room randomly, and that's pretty. This is pretty straightforward, honestly, but a lot of people don't know this, and a lot of people mess it up. And with these tips, and even the ones from a while ago, you got to keep these in mind. You can't just listen to them and be like, okay, nice tips. Like, you got to keep them in mind. So this, yeah, don't sprint into a room randomly. Be ready for what's around the corner. You know, don't sprint, perhaps just walk hip fire ready or aim down sights. Just be ready for what's there. And this is a random one, and it's not even a tip, it's just something that I've noticed I've done, and it can actually help in a lot of situations. When you spawn in Battlefield 4, there's always like a little delay, like a fade in of the screen before you can actually see things. But the thing is, you can actually move around and do things during the fade in. So if you wanna, I usually just start sprinting right away. As soon as I press space to spawn in, I just start sprinting, and it gives you that little advantage in case where you spawn in is in a firefight. You can get going quicker. So that's another little tip. Another random one, just in case you don't know it, you can, if you want to like place your grenade throw a little bit more specifically, if you press G to throw the grenade, hold down the left mouse button to hold the grenade in your hand. Basically, it won't explode in your hand because the fragmentation grenades in these are a little bit different. Yeah, basically you can keep it there as long as you want. So if you want to adjust your throw, it's a little bit handy, and it's quite useful. Another one, this is random, not many people do it, but it depends on the situation, but adjust your aim with your keyboard. And I mean like the WASD, or even just with your walking, if you're using a controller or whatever. Because you'd be surprised how handy it can be. Most people, you know, or at least as far as I've observed, use the mouse to aim, obviously, but if you combine with the keyboard and the mouse for adjusting aim and not just using the keyboard to move around, if that makes any sense, just so like instead of moving your mouse to hit the guy that's there, use your keyboard. And I find that at times it can actually be faster in terms of like response time for me to just move a little bit to the right instead of moving the mouse to the right. Just me, I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy or whatever. And then this can be on any map, but I said in particular on small maps, just always keep moving. In game types like domination and team deathmatch, I would say to always keep moving. Only stop when you gotta get a med kit out and heal up or reload your guns, but really try to keep moving. And I think that's a massive thing, and a lot of people don't do it, and so they mess up. And then the final one is, if you had a good time on a server, you did really well, or just, yeah, you probably did really well. Favorite the server, and this isn't, you know, advertising anyone in particular, but if you had a good time on the server and other people had a good time on the server, they're probably going to come back, and you're probably going to have another good time on that server. The reason you're having a good time is mostly because of the players. And so that's the idea of a community, really. So if you have a good time with these specific bunch of players, favorite the server or add the friends. Just don't join random servers. And I think that I said something similar to this last time, where if you're not having a good time, switch servers. And yeah, I guess you can watch that last video. Anyway guys, this was just a quick little rambling Battlefield 4 tips and other things. Hopefully these tips were useful to you, and I don't know, just the discussion about the guns and what is a good gun, or at least a good gun for each class. I personally like the M416. Actually, yeah, I literally just like the M416. I like the SAR-21. I think that's what it's called. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. Tell me your thoughts on this whole thing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, whatever. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I was a sinner.